What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. With the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today, I want to carry on with the discussion and conversation surrounding the open call to violence against ICE agents. And the reason that I want to carry on with this discussion is that I want to discuss this article here, right? We've seen this article referenced multiple times in yesterday's video. As you can see here, it's titled "Democrats Told to, quote, Get Shot for the Anti-Trump Resistance." But I had an opportunity to read this article for myself, and I wanted to take a moment to unpack it with you guys because this is actually a very good and interesting article to read and go through as it pertains to the mindset of the current state of DNC lunatics. You get what I'm saying? So I really want to unpack and go through this article. Now, before I do that, what I do want to do first is this. I want to take a moment to replay two videos, news clips, I should say, that I played in yesterday's video, in which that article was referenced. I want to take a moment to do that now, and I want to do that first at the top of the video, since many of you have seen this already. But this just helps to set the tone for what we're going to discuss, diving into the article and where things are going to go after that, right? So let's get into these news clips first, and then we'll get back into the article, unpacking the mind state of the DNC lunatic.
And I want to show you this. This was in San Antonio, Texas, where a challenger for a District 1 council called for the killing of ICE agents in Los Angeles. You won't even believe this. This is Matthew Guana, and he posted the comment here on X in response to DHS agents arresting illegals in LA. He says, and they will get shot by the Los Angeles public. I want to see a few dead ICE agents, Los Angeles. Don't let me down. Can you believe that? So Assistant Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, Tricia McLaughlin, reposted the comment here on X, writing this. San Antonio City Council candidate calls for the killing of ICE law enforcement officers in Los Angeles. Depraved. We'll see you soon. There he is right there. Meantime, Axios is reporting that town halls and one-on-one meetings, constituents, they want lawmakers to break the law. They want them to get tough. They want them to fight dirty and not be afraid to get hurt. In fact, they want them to get shot for the anti-Trump resistance. They want blood, is what they're saying.
Now, what I want to do is take a moment to go into the Timu Obama news clip on CNN that I played yesterday as well, and then we're going to get into the article. And there's a reason that I'm playing these two clips back to back, and I'll explain that in just a moment. But let's get into the Timu Obama video next.
Many of your Democratic colleagues are facing angry voters back in their districts. According to Axios, some are even being told they need to be more willing to go out there and get shot when fighting. That was a direct quote, get shot when fighting back against some of Trump's policies. One House Democrat saying, quote, and I'll read it to you, our own base is telling us that what we're doing is not good enough. There needs to be blood to grab the attention of the press and the public. How do you respond to that, Leader Jeffries? Are Democrats not meeting the moment, not doing enough to fight these developments?
Well, we are in a more is more environment in terms of the unprecedented assault on the American way of life and our country that has been launched by Donald Trump and compliant House Republicans. More speeches, more rallies, more protests, more sit-ins, more press conferences, more town hall meetings in Democratic districts and Republican districts. We're in a more is more environment, and we'll continue to lean in aggressively. At the same period of time, we also are going to span out across the country and talk to the American people about our affirmative vision for making their life better. Imagine a country where everyone can afford to live the good life, a good paying job, good health care, good housing, good education for your children, and a good retirement. That's what Democrats are working hard to bring about. When you work hard in America and when you play by the rules, you should be able to afford to live the good life. And far too many people are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. That's unacceptable in the wealthiest country in the history of the world.
Now, why did I play both those videos back to back? Well, because number one, they both referenced this article here, but notice the difference in which they both spoke on the article as it pertains to the open call of violence coming from the DNC. more bloodshed for attention coming from the left. On the conservative news network, we'll say, Newsmax, I believe it was, they spoke out against it, right? It's addressed and understood that this is craziness, this is lunacy, this is a call to violence, right? And this is a bad thing. But when you saw on CNN, as one of you said in the comment section, the criminal news network, I like that, the criminal news network, when you saw this open call to violence was addressed on the criminal news network, not only did the CNN correspondent just dismiss it and not even address it, but as he was speaking on the open call to violence, Hakeem Jeffries was shaking his head. Yes, he was going like this. But then when it was time for Hakeem Jeffries to speak, he chose to completely glance over and ignore it. And in ignoring it, coming from both of them, the CNN correspondent and Hakeem Jeffries, in ignoring the open call to violence and not addressing it and condemning it, that is indeed co-signing it. That's how I take that, and that's how everybody should take it, because it's very obvious what's going on here, and that this is wrong and should be condemned. The unwillingness for these people to condemn these lunatics shows that they are actually conceding to it and possibly agree with what's going on. So now what I want to do next is actually hop into this article and unpack this so you could all see what the mind state of the DNC lunatic actually is. So let's get into this article next. It's titled Democrats Told to, quote, get shot for the anti-Trump resistance. Let's get into this article now. At town halls in their districts and in one-on-one meetings with constituents and activists, Democratic members of Congress are facing a growing thrum of demands to break the rules, fight dirty, and not be afraid to get hurt. And they mean that quite literally. Why it matters, House Democrats told Axios they see a growing anger among their base that has in some cases morphed into a disregard for American institutions, political traditions, and even the rule of law. And we've seen that manifest itself in the riots that have been going on across the country surrounding, being against mass deportation, right? Check this out here. This idea that we're going to save every norm and that we're going to play Republicans' games, I don't think that's resonating with voters anymore, said one House Democrat. Another told Axios that a sense of fear and despair and anger among voters puts us in a different position where we can't keep following norms of decorum. This is one of the reasons that you've noticed, and I'm curious to how many of you all have paid attention and noticed this. Recently, right, since Trump won the election, whenever these DNC lunatics speak, right, we're starting to see a new crop of Democrats pop up, doing interviews like The Breakfast Club and other podcasts and stuff that you'll see clips floating around on X. But as it pertains to following norms of decorum, have you noticed that now more of them are starting to use profanity when they speak? Jasmine Crockett aside, forget about her for a moment, right? And her bad IQ, as Trump would say. I'm not even discussing her, but just in general, have you noticed that more of them are starting to use profanity now? More of them are cursing now when they speak. And it sounds so awkward because you can tell it's forced. You can tell that this is something that they're doing unnaturally, but it's very obvious that that's what they're doing intentionally in some weird way to connect with the American public, thinking that, well, if I use profanity more, that will make me seem more grounded and in tune with working class, everyday people. And that just simply isn't the case. That doesn't work. You just using profanity. That doesn't make me want to vote for you because you said the F word a couple of times. But something that I wanted to highlight, that if you haven't noticed before, I guarantee you're going to start noticing it now. But let's carry on with the article. Axios spoke to more than 24 House Democrats for this story, with many requesting anonymity to offer candid insights about their interactions with constituents and activists. For months, Democratic lawmakers have fumed that their base's demand to fight harder misunderstand the lack of legislative and investigative power afforded to the minority party in progress. Now, check this out because this is very important. And I quote, "We've got people who are desperately wanting us to do something. No matter what we say, they want more. Representative Brad Schneider, Democrat from Illinois, the chair of the center-left New Democrat Coalition, told Axios. Liberal voters have angrily accosted Democrats at town halls for their view of not doing enough to counter President Trump's agenda. In response, some Democrats have tried to up the ante, heckling Trump, mounting rogue impeachment attempts, and getting tackled by law enforcement and even indicted in their efforts to scrutinize the president's deportation campaign. That last portion that I have highlighted in blue clearly highlights the theatrics that we've been seeing as of late, as it pertains to Alex Padilla, who stormed the press conference of Secretary Kristi Noem during her live interview that she was giving, live press conference that she was giving, where he busted through the door, charged the stage like a raging lunatic, shouting nonsense and absurdities, to which he was arrested. We saw the same thing occur with the comptroller of New York City, where he got himself arrested when he essentially was obstructing justice during a court hearing for an illegal immigrant whose essentially his asylum claim was dismissed. And as ICE agents attempted to take him away, he locked arms with the illegal immigrant, refusing to let him go, to which then he became arrested as well and was tackled to the ground. And it was a whole big scene. This is all a game for these people to project themselves as being heroes of democracy when actually they're fueling the flames of violence, right, by doing this kind of stuff. So that's why I really want to take a moment to highlight that portion there. But take a look at this here, because it gets even more crazy. What we're hearing, the grassroots wants more. Some of them have suggested what we really need to do is be willing to get shot when visiting ICE facilities or federal agencies, a third House Democrat told Axios. Our own base is telling us that what we're doing is not good enough, that there needs to be blood to grab the attention and the press and the public, the lawmaker said. A fourth House Democrat said constituents have told them civility isn't working and to prepare for violence to fight to protect our democracy. Look at how deranged these DNC lunatics are. Really take a moment to sit back and listen to what we're discussing. They're demanding bloodshed. They're demanding violence. They're demanding of their politicians, Democrat politicians, to get shot for the people. All of this because you lost one election and you can't take it? You want more violence, bloodshed, and for people to get shot because Kamala Harris lost? I mean, I didn't see any of the. Go back to 2020 and how people feel about the 2020 election, right? Concerning Biden winning and funny business that may have led to that. I didn't hear not one Republican, not one conservative, not one MAGA Republican, we'll even say, call for violence throughout the entire 4 years of Biden. They didn't call for violence. They didn't call for bloodshed. They didn't want anybody to get shot. They just organized so that they can win the next election. They organized and strategized, so that they could get Trump in office, and it worked. And instead of these people doing the same thing, no, what they instead want to do is have bloodshed. When I say DNC lunatics, I mean that. That's not something that I just say because it sounds funny and it's clever or whatnot. No, these people are insane. They can't handle losing. So now people have to lose their lives behind Kamala Harris not winning. This is crazy. But let's carry on with the article. Between the lines, while other Democratic lawmakers said their discussions haven't gone that far, nearly everyone who spoke to Axios cited examples of voters' panic and fury fueling demands to adopt brute force tactics. A sixth House Democrat said that when they tried to persuade voters to channel their frustrations into a focus on winning back Congress in 2026, people who are angry do not accept that. They are angry beyond things. This is exactly what I just stated. What conservatives did after the election got taken from up underneath their feet by Joe Biden. I still don't like to say what it really is on YouTube. Everybody else says it, but like I have PTSD, from what YouTube was doing to a lot of channels back when people were telling the truth about the 2020 election. But I'll just say it like that. When the Democrats, took the election from up underneath the feet of Trump, they just yanked the rug from up underneath him. What occurred after that was that MAGA got going, planning and strategizing and preparing for the midterms and then the following 2024 election. They went about it the right way. You have House Democrats that are explaining here in this article that they're trying to be reasonable with their constituents and tell them the same thing. Hey, I hear what you're saying. Let's get ready to take back Congress in 2026. Their constituents are replying back, no, we want blood. Wow. And as we round this article out, it's like the Roman Colosseum. People just want more and more of this spectacle, said a seventh lawmaker. That's something that needs to be read again. It's like the Roman Colosseum. People just want more and more of this spectacle, said the seventh lawmaker. And that's what this all has been so far, isn't it? From the burning down of multiple Tesla dealerships, shooting up multiple Tesla dealerships, the anti-ICE riots that we've seen occur all across the country. Now we're seeing ambush after ambush after ambush on ICE agents at federal ICE facilities. It's all a spectacle. And it's not going to stop. Clearly, it isn't going to stop because of what I'm getting ready to read here. Look at this. Schneider, like other Democrats, said Trump impeachment efforts have proven extremely popular with grassroots voters, and that even as he tried to shoot them down as impractical, they simply find the idea irresistible. They're not operating in reality, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what makes these people so dangerous at this point. They're no longer operating in the real world. They only want revenge. They want their get back, as if something horrific has happened to them. When nothing horrific happened, you just lost the election. Your side lost. Now you got to deal with it the same way those of us had to deal with Biden being president for 4 years. Now you just got to deal with it. None of us called for violence, but these people are in such a state of derangement that there's no reasoning with them. There's no logic to anything that they do. And when you try to bring logic to them, they want you primaried. If I'm not mistaken, I really wish that I read this article to, address this now. But if I remember correctly, I think I came across an article recently that discussed how the lunatic running for mayor in New York, I think it's Mamdani. Mamdani and his crew, you can say his faction of Democrats, they want to primary Jeffries, right? If I'm not mistaken, I believe I came across that article in passing, at least the headline. I'll revisit that and then bring that to you guys maybe later on, so not to derail the video too much. What I want to do next is that I want to shift into this video here from Stacey Abrams. And the reason that I want to watch this video from Stacey Abrams is because I want us to just take a moment to see how these people have given in to the lunacy of their constituents, right? Listen to how Stacey Abrams is going to completely twist around the narrative concerning anti-ICE rioters and the need for the National Guards and the Marine to come into play, especially here in Los Angeles, because things were getting out of control. Karen Bass did not have the situation under control. Gavin Newsom did not have the situation under control. Cars were being set on fire all over the place. Buildings were being destroyed. We very literally sat back and watched rioters break chunks of cement off the sidewalk, line up on both sides of the street. And as federal agents are driving down the street, they're throwing these cement projectiles at the vehicles in an attempt to take these people's lives, right? So with that, what was needed? The Marines and the National Guard. Because LAPD wasn't going to do anything about it. They couldn't. It was out of their control. I mean, and then they're under the rule and the control of Karen Bass. She's not letting them do anything. So what was needed was the Marines and the National Guard. Very logical. We all understand and understood why they had to step in and why Trump deployed them. Now, let's take a moment to listen to Stacey Abrams' twisted logic to try to turn this into some sort of Nazi Germany situation, to which now we won't have any more elections. Listen to this lunacy here.
You send the U.S. Marines into spaces they should not be. You send the National Guard in. You kidnap people off of the streets and pretend that's normal, because that's how you quiet dissent, because you make everyone afraid that if they don't do what you want, they might be next. And once you've done those 9 steps, step 10 is easy. That's when you decide there won't be new elections, because everyone's either afraid, poor, broken, or complicit.
When you lie like this and fearmonger to the degree that she's doing, you have to understand that this is an intentional call to violence. In my opinion, I assume that's just what I think. That's it. You're giving in to your lunatic base, creating the most absurd narrative of how we're headed into this dystopian future where there will be no election and people are getting disappeared off the street simply because you disagree with Trump and he's a king, when that's the farthest thing from the truth. If that was the case, it wouldn't have taken so long and it wouldn't have been such a painful process for the big, beautiful bill to pass. Trump would have just said, pass it, and it would have been done. But that type of compliance is a compliance that you seem to only see with the Democrat Party. There never seems to be any real infighting. No matter what they want to do, how crazy it is, they all just get on board. Yes, yes, votes across the board and pass nonsense into law, right? They're always talking about themselves when they're talking about Trump. They're always talking about themselves when they're talking about MAGA. But not to stray from the point, what she's doing here is continuing to fan the flames of violence, because you're putting an extraordinary amount of fear in the air, to which you're fueling the lunacy of your base, to which they then feel that we have to fight back. We have to fight, or else they're going to kill us all. When it's actually the reverse, because you keep spewing this nonsense, this stupidity. Stacey Abrams is actually going to get us all killed, you know? And speaking of stupid, I want to take a moment to highlight Caroline Leavitt. Not saying that she's stupid. That came out like kind of wrong. But I want to highlight Caroline Leavitt just breaking down the stupidity of Stacey Abrams. So let's bring this video to a close and have a nice laugh as well. You know, I want to play this video from Caroline next.
And in your monologue, Jesse, I can't believe I heard stupid Stacey Abrams say that deportations kill democracy. Newsflash.
let's take it from the top one more time. I didn't quite hear what Caroline said. Let's take it from the top. Take it from the top.
And in your monologue, Jesse, I can't believe I heard stupid Stacey Abrams. Stupid Stacey Abrams. Stupid Stacey Abrams say. Stupid Stacey Abrams say that.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's just be serious now. We're bringing this video to a close. Caroline, take it away.
And in your monologue. monologue, Jesse, I can't believe I heard stupid Stacey Abrams say that deportations kill democracy. Newsflash, Stacey, wide open borders kills democracy, and that's what the American people voted against. The American public witnessed an open border, illegal alien invasion for 4 years, and they said enough is enough. The vast majority of this country supports deporting illegal criminals from our communities. This administration is all hands on deck in doing that, despite pushback from these radical Democrats at the state and local level. ICE and Border Patrol are doing the work that they swore an oath to do, to remove public safety threats from our communities, to protect our nation, our homeland, and our citizens.
And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms, and also do not forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.